cancer? Why these four main areas that y'all focus on?
Right. I mean, we do think of men's health in a completely holistic way, but these four issues have been a focus for us across the history of the organization, and it's because there are specific health disparities that affect men in all of these domains. I mean, I think we all agree that mental health is an issue that affects everybody, regardless of gender. What we see when it comes to men, as we've been talking about in this conversation, is when they're facing tough times mentally or emotionally, they're a lot less likely to seek that help that they need from their friends, from their community, from professional help. And so that's how the mental health challenge becomes particularly rough and the outcomes can become bad for men. And unfortunately, in that domain, we're talking sometimes about a risk of suicide. And the sad and scary thing is that men are 4 times as likely to die by suicide as women are. Unfortunately, we're seeing rates of suicide in the United States among young men increasing over the past 5 or 10 years. So that's particularly concerning for us. And that's why we have these campaign messages about, we want you guys around, we need you, we depend on you. There's, beautiful life ahead for you. Let's find a way through this. And then prostate cancer, testicular cancer, these are cancers that affect men. And prostate cancer is a leading cause of death, particularly in this community of men about 50%. So we just really encourage all guys by the age of 50 to talk to their doctor about getting a prostate cancer check. And especially for your Black listeners or listeners from African descent, if you're about 40, it's about time, right? And that's the age range that I'm in already. So about 40, it's time to check.
10 years earlier than if you're African American. Wow.
That's right. It's just, that's how the patterns work, unfortunately. It's really important to get in there. And the initial check is not anything invasive. It's an easy blood test, and you can find out what your risk levels might be.
Brian, I had a doctor on last week from City of Hope, and he specializes in a certain number of cancers, including prostate, and he was saying, I envision it'd be a physical exam for prostate, but no, it is a blood test, and you can look for a certain level of something in the blood test specifically to show if there's a potential for prostate cancer, right? Or explain how the blood test works.
That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. It's called a PSA test. If any listeners are curious, just look up PSA test, learn what it would be like. It's quite easy to figure out your risk level. I think, like you were saying about your partner before, like, get the test, get the peace of mind,
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be positive. Or if, God forbid, it gets a tougher result, it's so important to have early detection for this cancer. So once you know your test result, then you're on a path. And I can tell you, so many of our November champions are guys who walked that path. Like, they got a scary test result, but because they caught it early, they were able to survive prostate cancer, and they found so much community and support from the November community and from the resources.
It can be treatable, and also, again, if they catch prostate cancer early, you can live a very healthy life without a portion of your prostate. So they can cut the cancer part out if they catch it early. Otherwise, it can also be a silent killer, because by the time you have symptoms for prostate cancer, it's probably too late. So that's why you got to stay on top of the stuff, get in front of it, and then cross off the list, right?
You're a pretty convincing messenger. I'm surprised that you're
I know. We're two stubborn Leos, so it's a bit more. I'm gonna blame it on the Leo part, because he's such a sweetheart. But that's the only thing we really even kind of bicker about is this stuff. But it's going to happen this year, Brian. It's all the tests are happening. Touch on testicular cancer, and how do we monitor that, or how do we stay ahead of that?
Right, and we're talking about what age to be aware of for prostate cancer, but testicular cancer, honestly, I had to learn a lot about this more recently. It's a cancer of young people, right? So you're not going to be caught in teenage years or in your 20s. So that's why November also has a lot of presence on college campuses and trying to reach this community. So it's an example of where we're reaching guys at different stages of their lives and making sure that you're doing the kinds of checks that you need to do, talking to your doctor about it. Testicular cancer, by comparison to prostate cancer, is very, very treatable, survivable. There's an amazing survival rate. It needn't be the scariest thing in the world if you do happen to get that diagnosis. But, checking yourself, talking about a doctor, if you feel something down there, is really important.
Well, is it so? Self-exam sounds like it might be similar to, women were supposed to do regular self-exams to stay ahead of breast cancer. We do our own self-exams on the regular, and then we do our annual with a doctor. Is it similar to that for testicular cancer?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly right. Just pay attention. Yep, you got it exactly right.
Don't be afraid to feel around there. No, now I'm getting too. No. Junior Rexwell, hey, you got to be hands-on to stay ahead of testicular cancer, guys. Just like us ladies do to stay ahead of breast cancer. So
that's the way you got to do it. Yep.
So how, I know, again, November, in the month of November is months away, but how do you all keep this, keep this mission alive year round, even though the lead up is for the big month, the big fundraising month of November? But what do you do in the rest of the months to make sure people know this still needs to be top of mind?
Totally. I mean, you can hear from these statistics I'm sharing, like, we still need to get the word out. We need to build awareness. We have ambassadors like yourself to thank for getting the message out there at different points of the year. Currently, we're talking in the midst of Men's Health Week. So this week, we have a whole series of events, including a golf tournament, various different community activations that are happening. But I mean, a lot of people don't even realize that, this mustache trend for the month of November has a nonprofit behind it, let alone that we're as big as we are, and let alone that we're also doing our own independent research into all these different areas. So, like, when you introduced me, that my role is on the research side, so year-round, I'm using the funds being donated, a small portion of them, to try to get at some of the root causes of these issues. What are the ways that we can get guys to be more likely to go seek help? What are the life-saving prostate and other cancer treatments that we need to be investing in? What are the kind of community programs that young people need to have those skills of mental health awareness and communication skills instilled in them at young ages? And that's where the money goes, and we are, due to the generosity that comes from that single month, we're able to make impact year-round.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. I love that. And then you mentioned a golf tournament and a few other fundraisers happening right around this week for men's health issues. What's going on?
We're speaking right now, Lisa, in Men's Health Week. The week leading up to Father's Day every year is Men's Health Week, so it's a perfect time to have this opportunity on your show. Thank you so much. We just held what we call the Big Swing for Men's Health, the golf tournament that happens in Pasadena every year. That would have just happened in your local listenership area, as well as many other activations around the country.
And the best website to go to for all the information about these important men's health issues that we're discussing, all about the Movember Foundation, all about how you are hopefully going to attempt to grow a mustache for the big fundraising month of November, aka Movember, and other ways to fundraise and be part of it all. Just go to Movember.com. Movember.com.
That's exactly right.
Movember.com, and like Brian said, there are events that happen year-round that are fundraisers, and to call attention to this Movember movement of putting the focus on these important, very important men's health issues. But also, what I love about Movember, that whole month, people are encouraged to do their own, have their own event, host their own.
Totally. Yep, exactly. And probably the key thing that your listeners are taking is you don't need to be a man to care about this, right? Like, you have such passionate care for this issue.
I do.
I know we're talking a lot about the mustaches, but you don't need to be a mustache grower in order to get involved in the campaign. So we have so many women who get involved in the campaign for the month of November every year. No, they're not growing a mustache, but they're perhaps setting a goal to run a certain number of miles, or they're throwing their own fundraiser events. So we have folks who throw whole festivals or concerts to raise money for us. It's really incredible.
So great. And again, Movember happening in the month of November, but something that we need to keep at the top of our importance list. The men in our lives, we want them around. We want them to be healthy and here to enjoy life with us and with our families. So we need to make sure that they are on top of their health. And if we need to, here I go again, rock the whip and make sure the doctor's appointments are scheduled, we got to make it happen, because it's important not only to talk about these important issues, but to make sure that they're getting in with a doctor and handling it. So, we can't self-diagnose. And Lord knows when we Google anything, that scares out of us. So we shouldn't be our own doctors. Doctors hate when we say, "Oh, I Googled it. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die." No, we need to schedule an appointment with an actual doctor and get checked out. And like I said, cross off the list. And these important areas that the Movember Foundation has found to be of top importance and top concern for most men across the country and worldwide, right?
Absolutely.
Men's health issues, suicide prevention, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer, all very important to stay on top of, stay ahead of, and conquer. We got to work with our men and make sure that we get this handled, and then we can also have a little fun with it in the month of November by watching them try to grow a mustache, to also bring more attention and awareness to this very, very important issue. All the information at Movember.com, Movember.com. And then, Brian, so is it safe to say that you will be attempting to grow a mustache this November?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you a mustache kind of a guy? Have you had success in that area before?
I grow the beard throughout the year, but there really is the rule. Like, the official November approach is to shave everything down, and then, watch that pitiful mustache appear day by day. And I rarely get a real strong upper lip by the
recall now, also at the end of November, there's a lot of fun, like shaving parties. And you're like, oh, now I can shave this ridiculous caterpillar off the top of my lip. Shave it off, and then you have your old face back, per se. But you did a lot of good in 30 days to conquer this issue, right? So, but the shaving parties, people have fun. They're like, yay!
Yep.
All right, well, Brian Heilman with the Movember Foundation, head of research on men's health. Thank you so much for all that you do and the team there at the Movember Foundation. And we will team up
Yeah,
again
that's
in
okay.
November for the big month, the big fundraising month. But until then, wishing all of you amazing dads and father figures a one